Hey guys, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders, about to do a husbandry video for Homoeomma species Blue Peru. These guys have caused quite a bit of confusion in the hobby over the past several years, only because there are thought to be two, possibly three species that have been sold in the hobby under this name. It's kind of a muddled mess right now, and we'll get a little into that in the video, but I'll be completely honest, I'm still trying to figure out what the deal is with them. One of them is considered to be a Thrixopelma species. I believe that one's already been mapped out, but a lot of people get confused, and at one point they were called Homoeomma species blue smalls, Homoeomma species blue larges, then it was Homoeomma species blue, Homoeomma species blue Peru, and then Homoeomma species blue Peru 2. So they've gone under a lot of different names. There could be a couple different spiders that are being misidentified. I'll try to wade through some of that. But anyway, awesome spiders, really cool. And I know a lot of you all have been picking them up lately and been asking for husbandry information. So here we go. And here's some older footage of my Homoeomma species Blue Peru before I rehouse it for the first time. This is the original dram vial. I do find it easier to keep the teeny tiny slings in dram vials, but as you can see, this one's quite large here, has molted a few times. You can see a couple of the molts if you look carefully. At this point, I did keep most of the substrate moist, but I'd let it dry out a little bit in between. I always find it's prudent to give slings a choice so that they can find the moisture levels that they need. They would dig and tear things up a bit, but they weren't really burrow. And usually when I pop open the container, they'd be right on top. And here we go, rehousing this one into its new larger container. These containers are about 16 ounces or so. Personally, I find the 16-ounce deli cups or 16-ounce acrylic containers like the ones here are better for the ones that are about, 3/4 of an inch to 1.25 inches to start off. That way you can keep track of them better, plus there's still some room to grow. You'll see I gave them plenty of moist substrate to dig in, a piece of cork bark, and a pre-started burrow underneath. They did not burrow much at all. They would hide under the cork bark if disturbed or startled, but for the most part they'd be right out back in the open again later on. They did use the area underneath the cork bark to molt though. Here's another one of them here. As you can see, right out in the open. They're fairly bold overall, although just a little bit skittish. They are starting to calm down a bit as they put on some size. At this size, mine were eating medium crickets or medium red runner roaches. They had no problem taking them down. And at this point, I switched to feeding them about once a week. I only feed my teeny tiny slings more than once a week, only because I'm trying to get them out of the sling stage. And here we go, fast forward several months, and it's time to rehouse them out of these. They molted, I believe, 2 or 3 times each in here. And here you can see some of that skittishness. Again, they're very pretty, not defensive at all, but they can be a little flighty. And in a moment, you'll see what happens when I try to get this one out of the bottle. It doesn't quite cooperate. Now, right there, that container, I believe, is about 3 quarts or so. I'll put up an image of it and a little note section on the side to tell which brand it is. But I've been using these for a lot of my juveniles, and I like them because they offer enough depth that I can put in enough deep moist substrate for my guys, while at the same time not being too big that they're swimming in the enclosures. And as for what type of substrate I use, this one here is a mixture of cocoa fiber and vermiculite, probably about a 70-30 mixture or so. I like it because it retains water a little bit better, and I did once again start these guys moist. The one previous was actually topsoil and vermiculite. I moved away from topsoil after having a bad bag last winter. And here you can see a little image of one. Now as I try to go ahead, and there she goes, or he, we're not sure what this one is yet. But as you can see, they will boogie. They also, now that they've gotten a little bit older, will come out and explore. We'll see some of that behavior later on. And here's one of the other ones that I rehouse. Not quite showing, just showing hints of that blue. They are a lot more blue now, and they are a very striking species once they get to be adult size. And of course, everybody likes blue tarantulas, so I think that attracts a lot of people to them. Now, there has been a lot of confusion around the Homoeomma species Blue Peru, and that's because there are believed to be 2, if not 3 species that have actually been sold in the hobby under this name. One of the fun parts of the hobby is sometimes we're sold things that aren't exactly what we think they are. So, the Homoeomma species Blue, actual species Blue, is considered to be a slower grower and I believe smaller than the larger version of the Blue. And again, they were originally sold as Small Blue and Large Blue, and then Blue Peru and Blue Peru 2. The larger one, I believe, has been thought to be Thrixopelma species, possibly Lagunas. However, to make things even more confusing, it is often believed that Thrixopelma cayaniellum was also sold as Homoeomma species blue Peru, making the entire thing a muddled mess. So again, my guys have been medium to slow growers, so I'm not sure. I'm thinking these guys are the real Homoeomma species blue Peru, but again, until we do some more research and study these guys, it's going to be kind of a crapshoot as to what we have. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a mess right now. Now, since being moved into the new enclosures, my guys have molted twice each, and as you can see, fairly good size, about 3¼ perhaps 3½ inches. Fortunately, not able to get either of them to eat on camera here. I don't think they're in pre-molt. They are a bit shy, but I have been feeding them large crickets or large red runners now, which they seem to be doing fine with. And if you see right there with the light, some of that blue on the femurs, that is a pretty spider, and I love that they're starting to finally pick up some of that blue that they're known for. Now, as they have put on some size, I've continued to moisten down part of the substrate for them and also given them enough depth that if they wanted to dig, they could, but once again, they're not digging, which is great because you want a spider like this and as pretty as this to stay visible as long as possible. And there, as I pull the camera away, is some of that inquisitiveness I've been talking about. Now that they've put on some size, they're a bit less skittish and a bit more inquisitive, which I find adorable, kind of remind me of their cousins, Homoeomma species or Homoeomma chilensis. Here we have another one of mine, a little less of the blue, but this one is obviously, quite dark in the abdomen and probably in pre-molt. This one did not eat as well. Can't wait to see what colors it brings next time because that blue is getting richer and richer with each molt. And as they are a smaller species, I believe these guys get to be about 4 inches or so, 4½ inches. Probably something 3 gallons or so is in their future, maybe a nice acrylic, or now that I'm doing some of the bioactive enclosures, maybe we'll set something up like that for them. We'll have to see how it goes, but they really are too pretty to just be shoved away in a little milky box, so we'll have to see about getting them in something that really shows them off. And as the care for these guys is relatively simple and they're not too bad, a little bit flighty, this could possibly be a good beginner species for somebody looking for something that does have a little bit of speed and a little bit of personality. But again, you just need to be aware of the fact that if they are startled, they will bolt. And as you can see, as they put on some size, they will get kind of inquisitive. So make sure they don't get out of that enclosure. All right, hope you appreciated that. Again, these guys have been growing at a medium pace overall. And one thing I have noticed is although they were quite skittish when they were smaller, they are pretty bold. They've always been pretty much out in the open. And now they're starting to become a bit more inquisitive. They kind of remind me of their cousins, Homoeomma chilensis. And then when I open the top of the enclosure, they'll kind of curl over the top and go to explore a little bit. I had to usher one in after I did one of those videos because it decided to go on a walkabout. So cute species. Again, I'm glad some of that blue showed up because they are very striking spiders, especially with the carapace contrast to the blue. Just really neat looking spiders. And so far mine are about 3. I think the biggest is about 3¼ 3½ inches. So pretty good size so far. So maybe young adult size. We'll have to see how much they keep growing. And obviously I'll do an update later on. So that'll do it for this one. Again, if you haven't checked out any of my videos before, they'll be around in here. If you liked it so much you'd like to subscribe, very much appreciated. You can click my little logo right up here. As always, love hearing from you guys in the comments section. Hope to check out or see some comments there, and I'll catch you guys next time.